Welcome to Fandom Schmandom, the fandom podcast that covers everything you love and more. I'm Sierra Obermark.
And I'm Sam Williams. Today's episode, we will be spitefully spitting about Stranger Things Season 3, Episodes 1 through 4. And without further ado, we will, as Roger Smith says, dive on in. So get up to 88, because it's time to travel back to our story recap. Blast from the past, it's summer of 84, and the dang Ruskies really are up to something. The young scientist is given 1 year to open the gate. Fast forward, and it's summer of 85 in Hawkins. Mike and Elle are together, much to Hop's chagrin. Nancy and Jonathan are together, much to Joyce's happiness. Lucas and Max are together. Steve is an ice cream scooper in the new mall. Dustin has come back from science camp with a girlfriend, and Will is sensing something looming. Billy is also around, proving that apparently all Hawkins women are cougars, especially Mrs. Wheeler. Rats are swarming and exploding, and magnets are falling down everywhere. Still heartbroken over Bob, Joyce rejects Hopper's offer to dinner. Poor Hooper! Oh no! He has to deal with a teenage girl and her first boyfriend. And he tries to establish boundaries, which Mike tries to undermine immediately. Dustin tries to share his girlfriend with his friends via giant ham radio, but she doesn't answer. And he accidentally taps into a Russian transmission. On his way to meet Mrs. Wheeler for their romantic rendezvous, Billy's car is hit and he's attacked, dragged down to where the rats were exploding. Ew! And hopefully, good riddance?
Episode 2. Well, rats. Pun intended. It was too good to be true. We were rid of Billy already. Seems he has become the new plaything of the Mind Flayer. Lucas and Mike chat girls, while Will wants to play D&D. Boy, same. Elle and Max chat boys. And Dustin and Steve chat becoming true American heroes. Nancy and Jonathan investigate an old woman's basement where fertilizer is being eaten by potentially diseased rats. Ugh. Carrie Elwes is the mayor, out for his own gain. At the mall, Max shows Elle how to shop for herself, and Lucas shows Mike how to shop for Elle, ending in Elle dumping Mike's ass. Joyce learns about magnets from the kids' AV teacher, Mr. Clark. Remember him? Hopper plans for a not date with Joyce, which she unfortunately doesn't show up to due to aforementioned magnet investigation, and Billy is not okay. Robin, Dustin, and Steve have been translating the Russian transmission and realize that it came from Hawkins. Thank you, Kitty Horseride. And confirmed by Hopper, running into the previously seen Russian muscle. Billy has taken a fellow lifeguard and brought her to the abandoned building to be fed to or infected by the slime monster.
Episode 3. Drunk Hooper interrupts Elle and Max's sleepover, where they use Elle's power to spy on others. While watching Billy, Elle witnesses him with the lifeguard Heather, but then he sees her. Joyce shares her findings with Hooper, but he is too moved to listen. Dustin and Steve are on a mission. Spycraft. Max and Elle are on a mission. Locate lifeguard. Nancy is on a mission. Get sexist pigs to take a woman seriously. And Will is on a mission. Get the party back together. Unfortunately, Will and Nancy's missions fail rather quickly. Elle's mission is horrifying in its discovery, and Steve and Dustin follow the wrong person while Robin cracks the code. Hopper and Joyce explore the lab, but the only revelation at first is that Joyce plans on moving. Revelations for Nancy and Jonathan, who go in search of rat proof and instead find old lady proof. The mall crew find armed Russian guards. Hopper finds the Russian muscle, and the girls find Billy and Heather playing Stepford with Heather's parents. Unfortunately, Billy now knows who Elle is, and Will knows the Mind Flayer is back due to his spidey senses. Final moments see the Stepford twins turning on Heather's parents with drugs and alcohol.
Episode 4. Code Red. I repeat, this is a Code Red. The Shadow Monster is here in the, I hesitate to say flesh, in the goo. And it looks like Billy is creating an army. Hopper confronts the mayor, Larry, about the muscle who attacked him the previous night. Nancy and Jonathan get fired for pursuing the old lady rat fertilizer story and realize their differences may be too great to overcome. Oh no. The kids have a plan to expose Billy as the host, luring him into a sauna to smoke out the monster. They confirm him as the host but are unable to get the shadow out. Meanwhile, at Starcourt, the mall, annoying Erica, Lucas's sister, is leveraging her air duct climbing abilities for free ice cream. Girl after my own heart. Turns out the storage room the Russians are using is also an elevator, and our mall team is now plummeting towards the unknown. Nancy refuses to give up on the story, visiting the old woman in the hospital, as she shows signs of being an activated host as well. Hopper and Joyce follow up on the leads from the mayor's list of land purchases, and what is to come. Well, before we get to the nitty-gritty schmitty, we welcome Aureo to provide us with some vital information that we need to know. Welcome, Aureo. Give us that integral info.
So, Sierra, do you copy? Hello again, dear listeners. This is Aureo from across the pond, radioing in to talk to you about my favorite book so far of all the Stranger Things books I've read, called Rebel Robin by A.R. Capetta. And this book follows Robin from basically what happens events-wise in Stranger Things Season 1 and 2 before Season 3 starts. So this is a prequel to introduce Robin's character. We get to know her a little bit, her background, how she sees the events happening in Hawkins. And we get to know her a little bit before the book ends with her very happily meeting her new co-worker at Scoops Ahoy. And that's obviously when the show starts, and you just heard Sam and Sierra talk to you about that. So, let me talk to you about Rebel Robin, and also why this has been the book I've read in a day and couldn't put down, and why this has been such a good book for me. So, the book follows Robin during her sophomore year. So this is, for those who maybe don't know the American high school system, this is the second year of high school. Robin very quickly decides the year that no one cares about. Her teachers seem to be not interested, because it's just sophomore year. And it is very much about finding your place, belonging, your identity, being accepted, but also self-acceptance. And sort of a typical coming-of-age, like high school type book, where she feels desperately like an outsider in Hawkins. And she's like, no, this place is crushing me. I need to get away from here, because this is not where I want to be. But also, like, realizing this is high school. You don't want to stand out because otherwise you're bullied. So she's, like, choosing her little clique and, like, follows along with what sort of everyone else is doing to a degree. Because she wants to just live in peace until she can finally break away from Hawkins. So we see Robin in band with her friends. They are all trumpet players, aside from Robin, who plays the French horn in the book. But then in season 4 of the show, we see her play the trumpet. So I'll leave that confusing moment with you guys. On a slight personal insight into my life, I used to play the trumpet for 15 years, so I felt a little bit seen here. She is friends with a few people from the band. unfortunately, this is high school, so two of them fall in love with each other, start dating each other. So she's left with the other one, and he so happens to be a boy, and they end up spending a lot of time with each other. And have I mentioned, this is high school, so of course everyone assumes they must be dating, because, hey, they are like talking to each other. So she's essentially just a platonic friendship, perceived from both sides as that as well. Becomes a problem because the friend Milton is actually interested in someone else, and they have to take a break in their friendship because he's like, well, I can't ask her out if everyone assumes we're dating just because we're spending time. Which is a crushing moment because that leaves Robin totally and utterly by herself, while, Will Byers just gone missing. Her parents, who are like the 60s hippie cool parents who've never cared about anything, have just taken away her bike from her. She doesn't have a mode of transport. And suddenly people are really invested about her being safe and at home, and she's lost all her friends and she doesn't have things to do. So it's not a great time for Robin. Luckily, there are a few things that work out in her favor. A, she's fluent in 3 languages, French, Italian, and Spanish, and because she's convinced she needs to get away from Hawkins, she makes a plan called Operation Croissant, which basically means she's planning to get away over the summer to Europe, go to all these places where she speaks the language, travel Europe, and actually just get away from America. Her favorite teacher, an English teacher, Sam, becomes aware of these plans, but also encourages her, but says, yo, you should probably take someone with you, not just from a safety concern, but also someone to share the experience with. So you have someone you can reminisce and look back on. So Robin ends up endlessly debating who of her friends and acquaintances could be the perfect travel partner. So we see her in class writing in her little book in those other 3 languages, planning what she needs, how much money does a plane ticket cost, and who could be that person. And now she gets in her head very quickly, Tammy Thompson is that person. Because, spoilers, she has a crush on Tammy Thompson. But even bigger spoilers, she doesn't realize she has a crush on Tammy Thompson. To the point where when she finally realizes that she is in love with Tammy Thompson, that she's gay, I was like, what, wait, you didn't know? It's always so funny that as an outsider, it's so easy to see these things, and sometimes you yourself need so much more time to figure this out. So this is when the whole queer themes and especially gay topics come into this book quite heavily. I mean, this is the 80s, so we have mentions of HIV, and gay people are not to be trusted. Her English teacher has to leave his job because he is gay, and someone in town saw him holding hands with his boyfriend. Unfortunately, though, if he wants to keep being an English teacher, that means he has to move away, start over, hope that no one passes this on, so he can remain doing what he loves doing, which is being a teacher. So basically, just as Robin finally works out herself that she's gay, and it's oh my god, you've known all this time, this is why you've given me the safe space. He's yeah, I'm packing and leaving because I can't remain here. So this is a little bit of a dent in her jubilous moment of finally understanding who she is. And the good thing is, because her parents are hippies and raised Robin to be accepting and open-minded, she knows that she doesn't have to fear their rejection if she wants to come out to them. So that sort of gives her a level of confidence. But when she finally gets to the big moment, and hold on, listeners. So she's worked on Operation Croissant, she's managed to get a job, she's managed to, make money, all of that stuff. She finally has enough money, she has a plan, she's gonna walk away from Hawkins. Under the guidance of going to prom, she's actually packed her bag, and she will not actually go to prom. She will go to the airport and fly to Europe. She has, at this stage, not told her parents. Her parents find out just as she's about to leave, and a lot of money falls out of her backpack, and they're like, what on earth is going on? Surprisingly, they confiscate everything. They're not allow her to go to prom. They're not allow her to go anywhere, and they're like, oh my god, like, what are you trying to do? She is then fed up because she spent a year working on this. She spent a year of making money to do all of this. And that's where the title Rebel Robin comes in. She goes on her rebellion. She completely changes her outfit to the point that she's not allowed to enter prom. They're like, nope, this is not cool. She still sneaks into prom because in her head she's built up this moment and she's like, right, nothing matters. I am going to be myself. I'm no longer pretending to fit in. I'm no longer going to pretend to be someone that I am just not. I am going to be myself, and I'm going to ask out Tammy. So she makes it in. She sneaks past everyone. She gets into prom. She finds Tammy. Tammy is there with another boy. So she has this like moment where she's like, oh my god, I'm finally ready to accept myself and stand up for myself. And after a year of crushing on this girl, she hasn't even considered that, her feelings might not even be reciprocated. Like, Tammy is not interested. Tammy's not gay. So that is obviously a big moment. However, luckily, we find out that Milton, the guy from band who is finally allowed to be a friend again because he managed to successfully date his new girlfriend, is accepting of her and doesn't shun her out. And as I've already said, she has the reassurance that when she feels ready to come out to her parents, she will be accepted. And as I said, this book then ends. She needs a new job because on her rebellious journey to prom, she has damaged quite a few cars. And so all the money that she's earned over the year is going to repair the damage to her parents' car and the other damage that she's caused. So she needs a job. And luckily, there's a new mall in town with an ice cream parlor. So this is where we then, as an audience, meet Robin in Stranger Things Season 3 at Scoops Ahoy with the person she wants to spend time with least, Steve Harrington. So this is my recap of the book. I just on a personal note, because I cannot stress how much this book has really, really, really spoken to me. This one is the book that stood out to me. I finished it in a day. I couldn't put it down. There was so many parallels that I could draw to my own life growing up in a small town in Germany, being different, being queer, figuring out how you're different. I even played the same instrument, so it just really hit a nerve with me. And power to Robin, who wants to travel the world because of someone who's been able to travel the world a little bit and now lives in a different country, and has thankfully found some acceptance in the world. I'm definitely rooting for Robin. I'm sure we'll talk about it in an upcoming episode of Fandom Schmandom, but she's definitely one of my favorite characters in Stranger Things. So I hope I was able to bring Robin to life a little bit for you guys, and this is it for me today. Over and out.
Well, that was awesomely fascinating. Thank you so much, Aurelia, for that information, getting us that nitty-gritty schmitty of what we need to know. A fascinating little bit there about Robin's past before we get to know her in season 3.
Yeah, I love getting a little bit more information because Robin doesn't share a whole lot about herself in the show. We just know kind of these few moments when she's sharing with Steve about who she is and Tammy Thompson and all of those things.
Band.
And we and that she's in band, but we don't really get a deep dive of what her life was like before she gets thrown into the insanity that is this Hawkins crew. So I really enjoy all the additional information that this gives us, not just on Robin, but also just the landscape of Hawkins in the 80s.
Yeah. I think it's really cool that, they wrote a little bit about what 80s gay queer culture was like and the difficulties that people faced at that time. Because it's always weird to remember that you and I were born not that far away from some real shady treatment of gay and queer people, especially in the Midwest. I mean, you and I were both in college in the Midwest. We know what that scene's like. Or can be like, not that it's like that everywhere, but really neat information. I like the fact that her parents are hippies. That was a cool key takeaway for me. Her own slow understanding with this very protective teacher, that rocks. And it also gives us the sense of the loneliness that she's facing, right? The teacher's gone. She's feeling really alone. Milton doesn't really want to hang out with her anymore. And so it seems like she is primed to find something that is out there, ready for a life that's different from her own, though it not be Europe, it's cursed upside down Hawkins.
I don't know. I think I'd rather go to Europe.
I know. Same, please. All right. Well, awesome. Thank you. We are now going to move on.
Find your donut holes. It's time for our Knives Out category, where we sleuth out which 3 storylines are the most vital to pay attention to. First storyline, Opening the Gate, Russian edition. The second storyline, Symptoms of the Mind Flayer, Magnets and Rats. And number 3, What is Happening to Billy?
Okay, this first one, Opening the Gate, Russian edition. We open up the whole season 1 year in the past. So this is in between seasons 1 and 2, which I think everybody kind of forgets. You think it happens in between seasons 2 and 3, but it does not. It is after the events of Will going into the Upside Down. We've got, we end on Christmas with Steve Harrington in that great sweater. That summer is when this occurs, and then Halloween of 83 or 84. Yeah, Halloween of 84 is when season 2 takes place, and then this is summer of 85. We open up with the Russians trying to open the gate, and it does not go well. And you know what that means? People get shot because the Russians are, in this fictional world and kind of in real life at the time, diabolical, evil people. At least the military events against the U.S., right? So we get Alexei, this young scientist, is given 1 year to fix it, and then we flash forward the year. But we have no idea why they're doing it, and how do they even know about it? We get a little bit of sense in season 1 that there's Russian spies when Elle's, tap it into water and that one Russian dude appears, but we don't really understand why they're doing it. And then we move straight to ice cream. Steve Harrington slinging ice cream with this wonderful person named Robin, who is just humbling him constantly. However, Dustin, while trying to find Susie after everyone's abandoned him, picks up on this Russian code and brings it to none of his friends, because they all kind of suck at this beginning of the season. He brings it to Steve, who's the only one who's actually excited to see Dustin, it feels like. And with Robin's help, who's a master of languages, as we heard from Oreo's information, they decode the message. They find out the Russians are in Starcourt Mall, the new mega mall that's been built. And with some spycraft, they're able to finally... actually, spycraft doesn't work at all. They find out where the jazzercise is, but Robin is able to break the code, and they find out they need Erica. They need her to find some information, to crawl through some spaces, and the 4 of them eventually, by dodging some armed people, end up in an elevator, only accessible with a key card. So, Sierra, what are the key takeaways? Why does this storyline matter?
This, I think, is the, revealing storyline, essentially. It is the, not necessarily subplot, but basically how is all this happening, and how does it affect other people? Yeah. Not just, how is this a supernatural event, but also how does this affect other people, and a little bit more on the landscape of the time. And so this is the investigative team, essentially, who are going in and they're using their spycraft and they're decoding things, and we get a little bit of a mystery going on to figure out what are the Russians up to. And we as the viewer know what the Russians are up to, but we don't necessarily know until it's revealed by these characters that they are here in Hawkins. This is not taking place in Russia. This is taking place here. It's a more immediate situation.
Yeah.
So I think that's the main kind of purpose of this.
Yeah.
And also just introducing the Russian characters to the show.
Yeah, I think there's certainly we've been waiting for Russia to show up ever since Elle sees that Russian man in her in-between world. And so they needed to pay that off in some way, shape, or form. I think you're right. It ties you to the time a little bit more, but it really is like a side story constantly.
Yeah.
It brings in levity. It brings in comedy because we've got the Steve and Dustin relationship. We've got Robin coming in as a comedic character. We've got Erica coming in as a comedic character. Some of the best lines come out of Erica throughout this entire season. She's absolutely great. The actress is phenomenal. But it is subservient, right? It is basically saying, okay, so the Mind Flayer stayed behind, but also the Mind Flayer is getting stronger and able to keep a connection because they're continuing to try and open this gate, right? And we learn later the gate was healing, but not fully closed, and now it's opening back up again, allowing things to become stronger, which is terrifying, but ultimately, doesn't really serve as a main story. It is completely giving information for us to understand everything else. It is contextualizing what's going on in Hawkins rather than providing oomph and push.
Right. On to our second storyline. We are cheating a little bit because there are kind of two storylines here, one with magnets and one with the rats. However, they both come under the category of symptoms of the Mind Flayer, so I will accept our cheating as not cheating, and you guys just all have to be okay with that. So, with Joyce and Hopper, they are dealing with the magnet situation. Magnets off at Joyce's workplace, magnets off at Joyce's house. But Hopper doesn't care. He's kind of secured a date with Joyce. After blowing Hopper off, though, to get her mind blown by Mr. Clark, Joyce knows in her heart that something is happening in Hawkins. But Hopper has caught feelings. He's not taking Joyce's slight well, and he's trying his darndest to make Hawkins safe and get Joyce to take her house off the market. Hopper shows Joyce Hawkins' lab and is attacked by Arnold, the motorcycle Terminator. Hopper realizes the mayor just met with this man and interrogates the mayor to find the mystery man, all while Joyce helps to keep Hopper's beating of the mayor nice and quiet. When they realize the mysterious people have property all near the power plant, they go to investigate.
Yeah, so these are interesting because they are really important in terms of finding out what the mystery is, right? The magnets are going to lead Joyce and Hopper to the Russians.
Right. Over with Nancy and Jonathan, rats are eating fertilizer, and Hawkins Post intern Nancy Wheeler and photographer Jonathan Byers are on the case. The men running the Hawkins Post do not take Nancy seriously. They laugh at her, call her Nancy Drew, and so she convinces Jonathan to go back to Mrs. Driscoll, whose rat has turned into flesh mush, and now the full-grown woman is eating fertilizer. Turns out Mrs. Driscoll is a paranoid schizophrenic, according to Nancy and Jonathan's mind-flayed boss, a very reliable source. And so they are fired for listening to Mrs. Driscoll's story. Jonathan is livid, telling Nancy she lives in a rich bubble and he needs money for college. Nancy's mom says, "Don't listen to sexist idiots," and finish the story. She returns to the hospital and realizes Mrs. Driscoll may be a host to the Mind Flayer, just like Will.
Yeah, so these two stories are really interesting because they are so, split. We've got two couples. One who's pursuing Russians, one who's pursuing Mind Flayer. And we get a lot of sort of concentrated time with these romance storylines. Jonathan and Nancy's romance is a lot more advanced, and so we're getting sort of almost breakup and big life moments for these growing teenagers. It's like the most, I think, out of all the storylines we get sort of a coming of age. It feels like Nancy and Jonathan's is much more coming of age than Mike and company or Dustin and Steve or anything like that. We get a little bit of Steve being like, maybe I should have gone to college, but this story of Nancy dealing with the real world with people who won't take her seriously, and Jonathan being like, I have money issues, you don't, is a really awesome way to give a lot of depth to the story versus Joyce and Hopper. This is a payoff, just like the Russians. We've spent 2 seasons with these people hovering around each other romantically. Everyone kind of being like, will they, won't they, will they, won't they? And here it is with, we're looping around that question faster and faster and faster as it pulls us into its gravitational pull. So I find these stories very satisfying.
Yeah, I agree. I think that a huge payoff for both of these is just the emotional complexity and being able to actually dive into more of the heart of this show.
Dive on in.
And instead of instead of the mystery or the horror or the other themes that we have.
Yeah.
So this really rounds everything out.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so third storyline, kind of the most important one, the central main storyline of these first 4 episodes. What is happening to Billy? Well, firstly, he's being ogled by every mom in Hawkins, and that's just wild. But of course, after his inappropriate romance storyline, Billy becomes the Mind Flayer's first victim since Will. But he's unsure, that's Billy, is unsure what's happening. Right? He runs away and immediately tries to call the police, but has memories of what just happened flash before him. So he's a little out of sorts. And there is a very clear difference between him and the Mind Flayer, even clearer than with Will. Like, you can see when Billy's Billy and when the Mind Flayer's the Mind Flayer, because we're getting a lot more private time with just Billy as almost an adult who can move around by himself. Billy is getting burned by the sun. He likes it cold. There's a lot happening, including Vecna's clock music. Is that Vecna's soundtrack I'm hearing? Yes, for like half a second. Before Billy kidnaps Heather the lifeguard, he has this vision of Heather, like, sort of kneeling down in front of him in the shower, staring at him, and then Vecna's clock chimes, which I had not realized on other rewatches. But there it is, boom, with that, and I'm like, wait, so someone's about to die and, like, all their limbs are gonna get twisted? No, they're not. Instead, Vecna talks through Heather's face and says, take me to him, before we flash back to Billy and the real Heather. And what does that all mean? But we don't really get a chance to contemplate, because Elle is playing a game of spin the bottle to spy on them and finds Billy feeding Heather / having her be absorbed to the Mind Flayer. Elle and Max go looking for Billy and Heather and find them, as noted earlier, sort of playing Stepford Wives at Heather's parents' place, having dinner. And they leave before Billy and Heather kidnap Heather's parents. But never fear, Will and Lucas, and Mike, I suppose, are here. They help Elle and Max, even though both girls broke up with their respective boyfriends, and stuff Billy into a sauna at 220 degrees. But Billy shows he has strength beyond human capability. He meets with Heather after he escapes, while We'll Meet Again plays. And she explains that Elle may kill Billy, but not us, as the camera pans out and shows the army of the flayed. So, Sierra, tell us, why do we care about this storyline?
Why do we care? Okay, we care a
Deeply.
heck of a lot for a number of reasons, both this season focused and also future focused as well. As you were saying, we have these hints of Vecna. We have a much deeper connection and understanding of what the Mind Flayer can do and what the Mind Flayer can accomplish and how it can work through somebody else. We've only had one little experience of this with Will, which is almost nothing in comparison to this. You know, we had a little bit of that drama towards the end of the previous season, and Will and Noah's acting phenomenal in those moments, and that does carry over here. Whoever they choose to be possessed by the Mind Flayer, bravo, bravo, bravo. Quite an accomplishment to be taking on. And it really ramps up the terror and the horror, because when we pan out to see all of these flayed, that's a lot of people.
Yeah.
And they're not done. And, you know, they're continuing to grow. And what are all these people doing? What is the aim? What is the goal? And it really connects through this creature entity that we've been seeing hints of, and now we're really seeing in person, and is a very real threat out in the world.
Yeah. You know, I find it interesting that we get some Vecna stuff here. It may be that the Duffer Brothers had a lot of this planned out the whole time, or it may not have been. You know, it's hard to know exactly. We have writers that say, I knew it the whole time. And like J.K. Rowling or other authors, sometimes they really do. They have much of it planned out for much of the time. Or you get people like George Lucas who say that, and then you go and read the histories of it, and you're like, no, you didn't. Not the whole time. So, but this is the season to me that it's like, okay, they have fleshed out where they're headed. They know where they're going, and they are both trying to create a compelling season 3 while also building towards Vecna and this entire sort of storyline about why Hawkins, what's going on. And I find it really interesting that you get these two talking together, because one of the big complaints at the end of season 4, when you realize that Vecna and the Mind Flayer are together, is that some people were like, oh, so Vecna just runs into the Mind Flayer and then utilizes that to catch this, and that sort of lessens the Mind Flayer as a villain, as its own entity. But upon this rewatch, realizing that this is a Vecna Mind Flayer dynamic, they are much more of a team, although the Mind Flayer is a little subservient to Vecna's sort of idea. You get that experience with Heather and Billy talking, when Billy's like, oh my gosh, she knows about me, she knows who I am, she could have killed me, and Vecna's like, but she can't kill us. And so he's clearly the leader. But they are two distinct beings, which I really like getting an insight in. But all of that's hugely important for for season 4. And of course, getting to know all of this sort of, they need chemicals for the Mind Flayer in order for it to exist here. It needs bodies. It's all extremely important for us as an audience to understand, to see that, like, okay, so like things in the Upside Down either need to make it be the Upside Down, or they have to do a chemical change in order to stay in this version of Earth without it being the Upside Down. So all really, really good information that we should be keeping watch of as we move forward to season 5. Keep your finger on the pause button though, and rewind that tape. It's time for our prestige category for what do we notice on this watch through. First of all, it's the Super Mall. I don't love, Sierra, a ton of 1980s things. This show certainly has made me love it a lot more. And it's funny because I love a lot of 1980s movies, like Star Wars, Indiana Jones, Back to the Future, all comes out of that era. Little Mermaid is 1989. There's all sorts of stuff about the 80s pop culture wise that I'm like, cool, but I've never been a huge like 80s aesthetic, and a lot of the like 80s things that happen in the real world are not my favorite experience either. But man, is it fun to see sort of this mall come in, and they even deal with it in a kind of fun way with Nancy pitching Death of Small Town America as the malls come through. Yeah. So I don't know, I really like it, and the vibe's awesome.
Yeah. I'm also not sure if I love or hate that I missed out on the 80s, specifically because of hair and makeup.
I'm glad I missed out on it.
It is so bold, and just, I forget sometimes just how kind of crazy some of those styles were. I mean, how fun though? How fun.
Sure.
I think it would be fun.
I despise the big poofy 1980s white women hair with a passion. I can't stand the way Nancy looks for almost all of this season. And even Max in that first episode, they try and do something with Max's hair and they kind of return it back to normal over the next several episodes. But I'm like, I think Elle looks great, but
yeah,
I can't. And they even like zhuzh up Mrs. Wheeler's hair too. And I'm just kind of like, okay.
Yeah. Well, you know, all the adult women are just trying to make themselves so pretty for Billy. Oh, how are all the women suddenly cougars? I don't.
There wasn't anybody as so attractive as Billy Hargrove as soon as he got there with his
apparently
his old Chevy and his California license plate and his shirt off 80,000 minutes a day. Yeah, okay. Moving on.
Tight pants.
Oh my gosh, for real. Moving on from terrible style and people. How on earth does Hopper not know what a heart-to-heart is? Joyce is like, have a heart-to-heart, and he's like, oh, what? When he literally just had a heart-to-heart. This is one of my least favorite things about like season 3 is this little moment of him like not being emotionally empathetic, because we've had him be like rather understanding and really deep in his feels, both in season 1 and season 2, even though he's gruff. And then they make him a little more static and cliche in this first little bit here. It leads to something amazing. And I think his acting is really good for the part that was written. But like, come on, dude, you know what a heart-to-heart is?
Yeah, I feel like the only reason that I think that he's not putting it together is because there's not some big thing on the line where he has to pour his heart out or really connect, or he hasn't seen Elle in a long time and so he needs to explain their relationship or whatever the case may be. So I feel like maybe the stakes just aren't high enough for him. He's just so annoyed.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's just so annoyed by Elle and Mike, and he's like, I just want it to stop.
That's fair enough. Okay, so Sierra, do you remember the line "Friends don't lie"?
Yes, repeatedly.
Repeated all over the seasons. Why is everyone thinks that Dustin's lying about his girlfriend?
In this specific friend group, you make a great point.
Yes.
I think it's just one of those classic, like, my girlfriend in Canada.
My girlfriend from summer camp.
My girlfriend from summer camp who doesn't live anywhere near here, and you'll never meet her or see her or anything, but we totally write all the time. I just feel like that's such a cliche.
Yeah, and it's
teenage thing.
It's great fun, but it makes no sense for this friend group.
It doesn't make any sense. Yeah.
Whatever.
It does not make any sense.
And he's not lying. Like, Dustin of everybody, like, Will won't lie and Dustin won't lie, but Lucas and Mike absolutely would. We know that at this point. Oh my gosh. Mm-hmm. Whatever.
Well, friends don't lie, but boyfriends do.
But boyfriends do. Okay, we got to talk about one of my all-time favorite Stranger Things moment. And if you've been following us the entire time, you know that this utter joy has been coming for me. It's so funny because, like, as a real human adult, I'm extremely patient with kids. I work with teenagers for a living. I would never at all lose my mind like the way Hopper does. I do not think that's the right way to teach children or work with children or set boundaries with children. I'm very much on Joyce's side. But oh man, do I love it when Hopper is trying to set some boundaries and Mike is just being a little tiny sucra next to him and just like literally loses his mind. Like, your grandma's dying, kid, get in the car. And then Mike swears at him and he's like, oh, you want to see crazy? Disrespect me one more time. And he's basically frothing at the mouth. And he like keeps locking the car and Mike can't get out to get back to Elle. And he's just like, all right, you're not going to speak. So you're going to listen. And then I love that moment where he turns on the car and is like, do you understand? And Mike doesn't say anything because he's been told not to say anything. And he goes, nod if you understand.
It's so good. Hopper brings me so much joy, both in his just general hopness and also how he deals with children. We're gonna do this. No.
No. No, you're not.
No.
No, you're not. No. It's just like, it must have been such an agonizing summer for Mike to be over in his house constantly. I mean, this part of the problem is that Elle can't go over anywhere else, so he has to be the one at his house supervising, and they're, ignoring him and being judgy about him, and also, like, he's dealing with a lot of PTSD, and he's stressing super hard, and so he's been gaining a lot of weight and stress eating and all of this stuff, so, like, he's unhealthy, and their relationship is unhealthy, and his mind is not in the right place. But man, is this just for people who are Mike haters like me, I love it. I love it from a story perspective.
So good. Yes.
So good. But moving on to episode 2.
Then we move on. And I had a question about Starcourt because for whatever reason, I just got very big Let's Go to the Mall music video vibes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is partially just because I feel like most of the super malls look pretty much the same.
Yeah.
And then also because 80s, because, according to Robin, the 80s came to Canada late. So I looked it up. It is not the same place.
Yeah.
However, it totally could be.
I feel like every time I watch a movie or a TV show and there's a mall, I feel like it's always the same mall in Culver City near my grad school that I used to go to, which they would shut down frequently to, like, do lots of filming. Yeah. And so every time, like, I feel like every Netflix Hallmark movie, Christmas movie, is set at that mall. Every single one. And it doesn't matter if it's set in Scotland or if it's set in Indiana, or if it's set in Brazil, or if they're, somehow they're in Antarctica and there's this mall that exists. It's always this one in Culver City. And I don't know that it is, but I really want it to be. Dang it. Where did they film it?
I know. It's in Georgia. It's a mall in Georgia.
Oh, right. They filmed most of Stranger Things in Georgia. I keep forgetting that. Oh,
yeah,
well.
But the Let's Go to the Mall, it's not an actual mall. So.
What?
Yeah, it's a set and green screen, and
I hate that.
I know, I don't like it either. There's so many malls you could use.
They literally could have gone to Concord, New Hampshire and gone to the Steeplegate Mall and just had it there, and it would have been basically free. Whatever.
You know what's not free, though, is heels and a bathing suit.
Oh, gosh.
Because that's a look.
That is a look. It's all of the 80s style stinks, Sierra. It's terrible. Heels and bathing suit is wild.
Yeah, heels and a bathing suit is absolutely bonkers. However, Max does give some pretty great shopping advice, which is just you try things on until you find something that feels like you. And I hate shopping so much, so I may actually use this the next time that I go shopping.
Fantastic. My wife and I were talking about this the other day, and she was like, relationships and shopping are the same. If it's not a hell yes, it's a hell no.
I like that a lot.
Isn't that great?
That's so good.
Great Heidi Williams quote. Okay, yes. So we get a little bit of Mr. Clark, and I just gotta say, he feels like quite a catch for someone out there. And he was dating this one woman over the last 2 seasons, and she just isn't in season 3, so it might be that they're together, he's married, I don't really remember. I don't remember if there's a ring on his finger. But he's like, painting his little D&D figurines in his garage with low lighting and the little scopes to see the paint and everything. And he's got this great steady hand, and he's diligently working. And then he just lets Mrs. Byers come into his home and shows her all how electromagnet stuff works. And he just is so accepting and wonderful and great.
I know, I need more of him.
I miss the fact that we don't get him at all in season 4. I am bummed by it. And I know there's not room for him there, because they're not, like, the kids are really not together in that one, but I miss him. I missed him in it.
Yeah.
Also,
he's a good guy.
Poor Hop. Like, it really sucks that Joyce is just, like, at Mr. Clark's house doing this instead of going to Enzo's. But also, maybe don't trick Joyce into dating you.
He did make it very clear that it was not a date, but then very much expected it to be a date.
And unloads on her like it's a date.
Yeah.
So,
Which,
come on, Hop.
I mean, yeah, but also, I mean, she shouldn't have completely gone non-communicado.
Non-communicado. And I know it's not smartphones. Like, she would literally have had to have called his house or called Enzo's, which she's
called the restaurant, yeah.
very capable
But you
of doing.
can.
Yeah. Hey, I'm figuring
Everybody's got
something
a
out.
Yellow
I'm
Pages.
sorry. Yeah, for real. In the 80s, everyone had Yellow Pages. And for Gen Alpha
I had
and
Yellow
Gen
Pages
Z.
in the 90s.
Yeah, for real. I had it in the aughts. That's how New Hampshire worked.
Yeah, true.
And for Gen Z and Gen Alpha that's listening, the Yellow Pages were where everybody's numbers were listed and you could call them. And that's how you figured out whose friends you lived in, unless their parents had the same name as somebody else, and then it was awkward. On to episode 3. So, Will constantly wants to go back to the stage of his life before he was kidnapped in the Upside Down, which is very touching and very sad, but life is rapidly moving on without him, and I find this, like, genuinely heartbreaking.
Yes. I feel so bad for Will kind of throughout this whole season, really. He just is very overlooked and put into the background, and really the only time that he has these meaningful moments is if something bad is happening to him or he's getting his spidey sense of the Mind Flayer arriving, which is also something bad happening to him.
It's either normal bad or it's extra bad.
Exactly. And yeah, it's just so terrible, and none of his friends are treating him very well, and Mike is just a classic Mike.
Yeah.
And is kind of throwing some things in his face because he's mad about Elle and all sorts of things. And I did have this question when I was watching this time around. Does Mike know that Will is gay at this point? Or is he just like assuming that he hasn't grown into liking people yet and having crushes and wanting to have a girlfriend or whatever?
Yeah.
Either way, he's dumb
Yeah.
and rude, and boys are dumb.
Yeah, that's true. Teenage boys especially.
Teenage boys are dumb.
Super.
Sorry, teenage boys listening.
Listen, I love all
You're
my
dumb.
students. I teach at an all-boys school, and they are literally 14 to 18, but they're dumb,
Yep.
and I love them. And we're making them smarter, and they're becoming great young men. But also teenage boys are dumb, absolutely. At times, certainly.
And it's not your fault.
No.
Teenage
It's
boys.
really not your fault. It's just the fact that
It's really
puberty
not.
sucks. And your prefrontal cortex is not yet developed. And it's okay to be dumb. You just gotta learn to be humble and have integrity and move forward and make yourself smarter.
Exactly.
So, to answer your question as best as I can, I think in season 3, this really was Mike kind of knowing. Because you've got this whole the past 2 seasons of Mike sort of being in Will's corner and understanding Will in the way that he understands Elle in this season.
Right.
And so I would have said if season 4 hadn't come out, he absolutely knows. This certainly is supposed to make the audience feel like this might be a thing. And so they're kind of softballing that to the audience while also giving us there are definitely gay characters in this world. Here's Robin.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But then season 4 comes out with the whole Will and the art that he's made for somebody special, and he's with Mike the whole time, and Mike only has eyes for Elle, and I really think now Mike doesn't really know because of what happens in season 4. I could be totally off base. I could be reading it increasingly wrong, but that's how it feels to me.
I think I can go along with that, and I think that I can see that Mike doesn't know, and he's making a comment just like, "Hey, it's not my fault that you
haven't grown up yet.
Grown into you haven't grown up yet, basically." But Will definitely is taking it as girls versus boys.
Whoa, yeah,
not
sure,
yeah. So, again,
also like
Will,
how much do I have empathy for Will? Especially as I was young for my grade. I really didn't I started developing much later than everybody. Like, I was still in middle school body while other people started to get into their high school bodies. And, like, man, I wanted to be that kid that, like, was still playing with action figures and stupid games and stuff like that, while everybody else was like, hey, have you noticed that girls are, like, super attractive? And also, it's New Hampshire in the aughts, and so there's not really much to do other than do drugs. Do you want to do something? And me being like, no, I've noticed nothing, and I definitely don't want drugs. Like, I feel for Will. Life has rushed beyond him, and he's just by himself in this place being like, I would like to play.
Yeah.
And they're just not going to. It's very sad.
My boy.
Speaking of the buyers, why doesn't Joyce move sooner? Like, it's been 9 months. I feel like, and summertime is the time to move with your kids in between high schools. Maybe she's just wanting Jonathan to finish up his senior year somewhere, but then, like, they end up moving at the end of the season. I'm just, like, I feel like the gate opened a second time, Will was in danger a second time, we're leaving. I'm putting my house on the market, and I'm leaving it empty. And it'll sell when it sells.
The only thing that I can think of is just Joyce is so tied into all these things that she now feels a responsibility to, like, see it through to the end. And so now the reason why they do move is because she thinks it's done.
Yeah.
That it really is the end, and she doesn't have anything left for her and Hawkins besides her boys who are going to come with her.
Well, yeah, I mean, because spoiler for the end of the season, when she thinks Hopper's dead, then she moves. So I wonder if that's it too, if she's just lingering out hope for Hopper. Ugh.
A little bit, probably.
She, however, is not a cougar, and is not appreciative of Billy's attractiveness, like she shouldn't be. However, we're going to talk about Billy's actor, Dacre Montgomery, and have some big appreciations for his acting. His acting in the Stepford scene. And for those of you who don't know what we're talking about, Stepford Wives is this incredible movie where essentially these women are all acting very plastic Barbie-like as wives. And you find out why later. He's doing an incredible job of putting on this polished, fake smile that really does seem charming if you don't know what's going on, but because there's this spooky undertone, it comes across as chilling. And oh my gosh. Yes. Oh my gosh, it's great.
It's amazing. I feel like this season should just be called the Dacre Montgomery Show.
Yeah.
Because I feel like every single episode, he has at least one scene where I'm like, holy moly, so good.
Yeah. Absolutely. You're 100% right. 100% right.
Yeah.
Episode 4. Very quickly, I'm just glad that Max and Elle are friends this season, and that,
so nice.
Because they really started to do this overplayed, not that this doesn't happen in real life, but this overplayed dynamic of women hating women. And I didn't like it in the season 2. It felt cliche in a way that Stranger Things normally avoids, and then they instantly fix it, and I'm just so grateful.
Yeah, I love it. And I love that Elle has a buddy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Instead of just being around, as we've said, dumb teenage boys.
Dumb teenage boys, yeah. Speaking of dumb boys, but they're much older, how good is Hopper and Mayor Larry Klein's interrogation scene?
So good. It's
all the lines as they build up to the physical violence in that scene where they're just sitting across from each other and like kind of having a tit for tat where it's like, well, I've got stories about you, you got stories about me, nothing's going on. Oh yeah, are you sure? Really? Oh, okay. And then Hopper just done with it and breaks his nose. And Larry Klein, the mayor's delivery on, you broke my nose! And then he looks at him, you broke my goddamn nose! It's just so funny for some reason. And then Joyce pulling out the cord and being like, who you calling? The police? It's amazing.
That's priceless. It's just a priceless scene. And I think it's just the dynamic between, police chief who's just lost his marbles at this point and corrupt mayor is just such a good dynamic in general.
Absolutely.
And then you get these specific characters
and these specific actors
over the top.
Because they're just
exactly
incredible, and they're so good in that scene together. It's just great.
Yeah. So fantastic.
All right, here's a question for you.
Yes.
With Nancy and Jonathan's argument about, hey, we were just interns, it's not a big deal, and Jonathan being like, I need money. You live in a bubble. Does Jonathan go too far here? Or do you feel like Nancy needs to be woken up?
So I think that they both have some valid points. And I think that Jonathan needs to maybe be more clear with Nancy about what he needs, why he needs this job, what he's trying to accomplish, all the things that are required for him to continue living the way that he wants to live. But I do feel like the way to explain that is not just talking down to her about her situation, because she can't control her situation. She didn't choose to be born into the family that she was born into. Yes, she may have been living in a bubble, but she's also seen some things over the past few years and knows that life isn't all so great all the time, and she's not one who's like throwing her wealth around or anything like that. And, you know, she definitely comes from more of a position of privilege here, but I don't necessarily know that I don't necessarily know that at this point it's an issue. Like, yes, she feels like she should be treated better, and she should be. And she doesn't need this job. She could go try to find another job. However, as a woman in the workforce in the 80s, especially coming into it just right at the beginning, she is going to have some issues with a lot of the boys club personas that are out there. So I don't think that he goes about it in the right way. I think this would have been very nice to just have as a really gentle conversation between the two of them of like, oh, well, this is my experience. This is my experience. This is why I need this job. This is why I don't need this job. Totally. And then it could have been handled. I've been in this situation before, and it's awful.
Yeah, totally.
It's really awful. And because especially if you're really trying to see from other people's points of view and that's just not picked up on, it's kind of crushing.
Yeah. I think Jonathan's messaging is poor. And it's hard to do ideal messaging on any of this sort of stuff. Certainly, I'm going to talk about a lot of things. So anybody who's listening, please don't judge too quickly what I'm saying, because I'm going to get to a lot. I think Jonathan certainly at times was like uncomfortable, and sometimes deeply uncomfortable with what Nancy was asking for. But also, he can grow more of a spine and speak for himself. And so like he was like, hey, I don't want to get fired. I don't want to do this. But then he's like, okay, you're relentless. And also you're my girlfriend. So how much am I really going to stand up to you? We're in a relationship. And so all of that's true. Yet it's still his choice to go and do a bunch of these things. Right. And yet, you know, he does feel a little bit like he's been coerced sort of into helping Nancy on what he's doing. So there's some fair stuff there. He's absolutely right about the fact that Nancy is not considering his financial circumstances. Because even she comes out and is like, well, I didn't realize I lived in a bubble. Okay, actually, that's kind of your fault. But I would say that that's kind of their fault for both of them for two different things. Jonathan is not being supportive at all about the sexism. He's just being like, it's okay. Like, we'll get through it. They're just assholes. He's not helping at all. He is also living in his bubble within his male perspective and completely not being a very good ally to her female perspective. And at the same time, she is not looking at his poverty perspective while he is very much aware of her wealth perspective. And it is on both of them to be more aware. And they're getting to the age where they should start to realize that. So this is like I think this is the right time for this conversation. Both of them need to wake up to what they're doing. Not said the right way, but honestly, when is it ever going to be said the right way in a show like this? And they're still teenagers. So a lot to forgive. And at the same time, I like, don't mind that Jonathan said it like that. And I wouldn't mind it if, I almost called her Sierra. I don't mind that Jonathan said it like that, and I also wouldn't have mind if Nancy shouted at Jonathan about his lack of support around the sexism. So, you know, it's all fair.
I think it was a missed opportunity for her to kind of be like, well, hey, you didn't explain this to me. I didn't explain this to you. You're not supporting me. You say that I'm not supporting you. Well, you're not supporting me either. And it could have gone kind of both ways.
I agree.
And I think that Nancy is a strong enough character that it maybe would have made more sense if she had done that.
Yeah, I think so too. Speaking of strong women, Erica is incredible. Just amazing. Her capitalism scene with explaining like my services are now in high demand and I'm going to negotiate for free ice cream for life, which is silly of her to not see that like, hey, Steve and Robin aren't going to work there forever. Like you have free ice cream until they go and do something else. But her capture,
or until the mall burns down.
or until the mall burns down. Erica's capitalism scene certainly captures an element of like the way in which the 80s sort of celebrated money and sort of a new form of capitalism that was entering the United States.
Mm-hmm. Continuing the strong women, back to Nancy, she thinks that she gets her fighting spirit from her mom. What evidence do we have to this?
Literally none. None to be like that fighting spirit that Nancy has. That's where she get like, okay, yeah, certainly Mrs. Wheeler is a strong individual. Like, she powers through some stuff, but also she's like super absent-minded about her kids, really focused on Billy at a certain time, like only doesn't go and have sex with him because she loves her husband. And then like, what else has she done to be like, yeah, this leads to your daughter taking a gun, going through a stump in season 1 and trying to face down a Demogorgon? None.
Yeah. No. Mm-mm.
None. It's stupid as all hell.
None.
Okay. I know we talked about Mr. Montgomery in the Stepford scene, but the sauna scene.
Oh my.
The sauna scene is incredible.
It's so good.
It might be my favorite scene up until this point of Stranger Things.
Oh, like for season 1, season 2, and season 3 up until this point.
Season 2, season 3. This might be my favorite one.
I think it is mine.
I don't even know what I would put up there with it. That Sarah montage while saving Will is really impactful from season 1.
Yeah.
I love the Halloween moments in season 2. I do love the scene of them going through the corridors in season 2 as well. That sequence of trying to get out of Hawkins' lab after lockdown. Mm-hmm. That one might beat it, but man, it just... Montgomery's acting with being Billy and trying to talk to Max and plead with Max for a second and then activating into the Mind Flayer and completely changing his character is just so well done. I find him incredible.
Absolutely incredible. We will continue talking about him and his acting and the Billy versus Mind Flayer throughout this season's episodes because I rewatching, it is very clear to me when he is Billy and when he is the Mind Flayer. And wow. And just the instant switching that you can see happening is so amazing. And everybody else's reactions to those changes as well. Very, very well done.
So good.
Well, you don't always have to face down a horde of angry soldiers by yourself. Buckle up, Schmisseners. It is time for our Sansa is Smarter Than John category for what is the most important character moment of this set of episodes.
Okay, so surprisingly, I have Max helping Elle break up and then take her shopping, which I just feel like is a really important moment for both characters. For Max to show us that, like, okay, she's not as clichély tomboy where she's like, can't be friends with women, and also Elle gaining a lot more agency, and specifically around clothes, which is, you know, her expressing herself for the first time in that way.
Right.
I've also got Robin humbling Steve constantly, because it's we grow to love Robin so quickly, and and this I think is why it's that banter that she has almost with the audience about how stupid Steve is. And then
my favorite is the board.
Yeah, absolutely. Loser.
Loser.
You are a loser. And then Steve realizing he's going nowhere. I thought was a good character moment as well. You could do a lot. There's a lot of character moments in here. These were my top 3.
Yeah. I think I would give the edge to Robin humbling Steve, mostly because it's really key to understanding her character and to be introduced to her character.
Yeah, I agree.
Whereas the others, I feel like, don't have as much of a payoff throughout these episodes. But Robin's moment really is important to who she is.
Yeah. Good. Concluded. I know you just lost a hand, but listen up. It's time for the I Am Your Father category for most iconic character moment. I have an honorable mention for Hop shaking down Mayor Klein. But of course, you have the winner.
I do have the winner, and it is another Hopper moment. It is Hopper finding out that he has successfully scared Mike into giving Eleven some space for a day while You Don't Mess Around with Jim plays in the background. Hilarious. I started laughing hysterically at that moment. He's so happy, and the song is perfect, and it is excellent all over.
I love it so much.
So
I also love that later, when Mike does reveal, it was Hopper, he went crazy, he said we were spending too much time together, that Elle's like, I know she's mad, but she's also like, maybe he's right. And I was like, that's right. You gained some advocacy for yourself, Elle. That's right. This has nothing to do with how prejudiced I am against Mike.
Sam, you gotta sit down.
No, I'm sorry.
It's time for our I Am Iron Man. Most iconic and important scene.
There's one answer.
Category. There is one answer. It's Billy breaking out of the sauna. Between the imagery, his brutality, he's already a much better host for the Mind Flayer than Will ever was. He's already morally and mentally corrupted.
Yeah.
And he's a better physical host.
Absolutely.
He is a better... He's an adult.
He can
basically
go places without people being like, "Where are you going, Will?" Yeah, he's not a child.
Yeah, without walking or biking.
Yeah, he can drive.
Has a car.
It's all of it's so incredible in the sauna scene, that transformation into the Mind Flayer and breaking through the wall, opening it up, having that fight with 11 where they kind of realize that, oh my gosh, Billy's weirdly a match for Elle. What is going on? And then of course she wins. Mm-hmm. It's just, the whole scene has this wonderful arc of, I'm Billy, I'm sad, I'm scared, and now I'm Mind Flayer, and here we go, and you're going to, and you can just see the difference between, like, when Will was, like, sitting in a doctor's office. I'm sure the Mind Flayer was like, again with the psychiatrist, come on, man. Versus now, the Mind Flayer gets put into a better body, and he can physically remove himself from that situation, unlike Will. And I wonder if that's one of the reasons why he goes for somebody like Billy, this young, strapping man. I will say, there's one moment in that scene where, because of how tall Mike's actor is, like, he's really growing at this point, there's definitely, they try and hide it as much as possible, but Mike is taller than Billy. And there's one scene where he's behind Billy's shoulder, and you can see Mike, and it's like, because, like, he's really supposed to be much bigger than all these children, and he is, like, physically more imposing. But Mike is very skinny because he's still, like, a teenager kid. But it's kind of funny to be like, yeah. Like, the Mind Flayer, like, looking up to Mike. Who's supposed to be, like, in 7th grade. Or going into 8th or something like that. Crack open an encyclopedia. It's time for our, as Elijah Wood once said, "No! How could we have known?" category, where we discuss the most important information disseminated to the fandom over these first 4 episodes.
I think the most key information for me is that the Mind Flayer needs a host and to feed and to grow through them in order to remain on our side of the dimensional plane. And this also goes along with the chemicals and whatnot. But basically, the Mind Flayer can't exist by itself on our side.
Without the upside down.
A host.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Or this chemical
without
change.
the upside down.
Yeah.
So I think that's really important to know about the Mind Flayer itself, but also potentially extrapolating to other upside down entities.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's a bit like Spirited Away. For anybody that's seen that movie, once you go into the spirit realm, you have to eat something on that side in order to be accepted into that world, or else you fade away. And so it's like, hey, I need to stay here, so we're going to chemically change myself in order to be, workable in this Earth's oxygen levels and all that stuff. My information here was that Vecna is there, which we went over already, but he's in Heather's body 2 times, once before Billy captures Heather, and once at the very end of episode 4. And I just think that is mind-blowing. We should all be aware that Vecna also somehow possessed Heather and put a vision into Billy's head. So that was cool and good.
A little aside on that, I took it as that for the vision that Vecna was not already in Heather.
I agree. I think that's an imposed vision. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But that he's using her visage to,
I shouldn't,
to call.
You're right. I 100%. It should, to be clear, I'm not saying that he's in Heather's body 2 times like I literally said. He's in Heather's body once, and then he uses Heather's body a second time, but it's a visage sort of situation.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Perfect. Well, keep your horses safe, not from Vecna, but it is the I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse category of best lines. There's a lot of great ones here.
I know.
One of my personal favorites, we've talked about Hopper a lot, but maybe I should just kill Mike. I'm the chief of police. I could just cover it up.
I forget about that line every time, and it makes me so happy.
So hilarious. Continuing with him, maybe if you are lucky, I will continue to allow you to date my daughter.
And the context of that line and the way that the vitriol behind it when he says that, and the authority is so impressive.
Mm-hmm. Yes. My next one. Once you open up that curiosity door, anything is possible.
Mr. Clark.
Mr. Clark, what a gem.
Love him. I've got 2 in here. First of all, there's Joyce's line, which I already mentioned. Who are you calling? The police? While Hopper, the chief of police, is beating up the mayor. And his secretary tries to call the cops. But the one that I think should win, and it's mainly just because of delivery and context, is when Mayor Klein is trying to explain away the Russian motorcyclist. I was like, I don't know, I meet with a lot of people, Hopper. Tall, square jaw, ex-military. You know who that might have been? The maintenance guy. And then this line happens that Hopper says, and he just leans forward and he goes, "You meeting with a lot of plumbers, Larry?"
It's so good. It's the delivery on that is amazing. However, I think the winner is this final one. You can't spell America without Erica.
It's so good. It's so marketable too. Like, I feel like she just like is on lunchboxes and water bottles and t-shirts because of that one line.
She is the future president.
For sure. Absolutely. Okay, yeah, we'll give it to Erica. We can't spell America. We can't spell America without Erica. And Dustin's just like, uh-huh.
She's right.
Yeah.
Mind blown.
What? Well, dust off that card deck and get ready to shuffle. It's our Joker category for who is the MVP of this episode. Now, I have a pound for pound argument with you.
Okay, go ahead.
Is it Mayor Klein?
No.
But he's so wonderful and delicious and great as an actor in every scene that he's in. It absolutely isn't. This pound for pound means that they've done something actually important. But like, I just had to give you a little bit of Princess Bride. Okay, I think we're aligned on who it is.
Okay, because I was gonna say, is it weird to say the Mind Flayer?
No.
He's got a really successful streak going. He's got all the people he's turning. Billy's under his control. Elle isn't strong enough to defeat him. Only some stinking kids know that he's even around, besides the people who are his flayed. So he's
it's the Billy Flair combo. It's everything about them in these series of episodes makes this show work. And like, part of me is like, if you don't have the seriousness of Montgomery's acting, does the show even equal season 1 and 2? Because there's a lot of moments that are like, Joyce and Hopper can be a little almost too light for me. Dustin and Steve can be almost a little too light if you're separating them out completely without the grounding of Montgomery's work. And that's why they work so well, is that they're all balancing each other out. But if you remove him, I think the show is a little bit more, this is going to sound really harsh, and I don't mean it as harsh as it sounds, but it's a little more Scooby-Doo than it is Stranger Things if you don't have Montgomery
At least
there.
in these first episodes.
These first 4,
yeah.
absolutely. That's all I mean.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. At least in these first 4 episodes, I would agree with you. I think it definitely has the comparison to make.
Yeah.
To make it work.
Totally.
Clean your evil lair and get ready for our I was the turkey all along category for what is the biggest takeaway viewers should leave with in preparation for season 5.
There are 2 entities working together this early. It's not just the Mind Flayer on its own. Vecna is working with the Mind Flayer actively. It's not a retcon from season 4 that it enters.
Mm-hmm.
They have planned this. They even have the chime in the episode. That's the biggest thing y'all should take away from this.
Yeah, definitely. Today's public service announcement. Don't mess around with Jim.
Don't do it. Why would you? Why would you mess around with Jim? Is there any point? He's chief of police.
No.
He could kill you.
He could kill you and cover it up.
Yeah.
He might allow you to continue to date his daughter.
But only if you never disrespect him again and you follow all those rules.
Exactly.
Don't mess around with Jim, people.
And don't you dare meet with a lot of plumbers.
I love it.
Well, thank you, listener schmisseners, for listening to this episode of Fandom Schmandom. If you'd like to discuss this episode or any other episode we've done, please hit us up on our social media channels. You can find us on TikTok and Instagram at Fandom Schmandom Pod and on X at Fandom_Schmandom.
Please don't forget to rate and view us if you like the episode. It really helps with the algorithm placing us in the other like-minded schmishners algorithms out there. And with that, we're out, y'all.
Don't forget to tip your hosts.
That's so creepy. And fare thee well.
Fandom Schmandom was created by Sam Williams and Sierra Obermark. The show is produced by Aurelia Lieb. The editor is Brittany Fisher. The music is by Jeremiah Alves.
And Dustin and Steve.
Justin and Steve. I like Steve. Elle and Max and Dustin and Steve. Hopper and Joyce explore the lab, but the only revelation... Wow, I really swallowed the butt. It was non-existent on that sentence. Definitely stands out to me. Nope, now there's a cat that's on my desk. Gotta go. Hold on. I love you, cat. I know. Nancy, my God. Billy time.
Cool.
Oh, no, it's me. I'm Billy. Sorry. Here we go. Billy time.
I am Billy now.
Billy time. Yep, Sam, go for it. But Billy shows he has strength beyond human capility? My God.
Keep your horses safe. Not from Vecna, but I'm going to make him an... Oh, I can't say that.
Let's restart that whole thing.
I'm losing.
Yeah,
Okay.
we should only record one episode tonight. It's too late to do a second.
Oh, yeah. If I do a second one, I'm going to
Die.
be speaking in rhyme. It's going to be cat, bat, mat, cat.
Yeah. That would be the entire second episode.
Okay. Yeah. It would be unintelligible.
Yep.
Biggest takeaway viewers should leave with in preparation. Fudge.
You got it. One more time. What is the biggest? Dig us. She develops a plan, Operation Croissant,